Hi, my name is Margaret. In this video I'm going to continue with the example I started in Inheritance Part 1, and I just give a brief overview over the classes we used so far. We had a dog class which had one single field, breed of type string. I declared it final because we only expose a getter so people can read the field, but a breed cannot be changed once a dog has been created. I also have a parameterized constructor to set the breed and two additional methods. One is communicate, that just makes bark bark, and one is move, so here the dog moves by running. We also started a class sled dog. Sled dog extends from dog. The dog class is the superclass. You can think of it as the parent class. Sled dog is the subclass. You can think of it as the child class that inherits from the dog. Notice here I only have a constructor that calls the superclass constructor and allows the superclass to set the breed, and it has one additional new method, pull sled. So my sled dog knows how to pull the sled. Sled dog does not declare a method for communicate or run. Nonetheless, in our test program, we called move and communicate on our sled dog because sled dog inherited those methods from the parent class dog. At this point, I want to create one more dog class. I'm going to call it circus dog, and I'm going to use it to demonstrate overriding methods. The first thing I want to do is I want to integrate circus dog in my inheritance hierarchy, so I'm using the keyword extends, and I'm going to make sure my circus dog extends dog, which means it derives from dog. Dog is the superclass, circus dog is the subclass. Circus dog inherits the public and private class members from dog. And I'm going to create a constructor. It's public, it's called circus dog. I'm going to accept a string with a breed because I need to provide that for my superclass constructor. So here I write super and I pass to my superclass constructor the breed so the superclass constructor can initialize its private field. And at this point I would like to override move. My dog runs when it moves, but my circus dog walks the tightrope. So I want to change the move behavior. An easy way to do that in Eclipse is by starting my method name, let's say MO, and now I'm pressing Control spacebar, and that provides me with possible options to complete the statement. And the first one is just what I want. It's my override of move. If I double click that, it gives me a method stub. It includes already the annotation override, which is strongly recommended to include. It gives me the correct method signature here, and then it also reminds me that this is an auto-generated method stub, and it calls the original method from the superclass just in case I want to modify that. Now, as a reminder, do not override a method if all you do is call the superclass method. So every time you override, you should actually make some kind of a modification. In our case, we do not want the superclass move. This was run, and it doesn't fit for our purpose here, so I'm going to delete those two lines, and I'm going to write a new print statement, system out print line tight rope walking. I'm going to compile and go back to my dog application. So at this point I'm going to add a new dog. It's my circus dog. I say my circus dog. It's a new circus dog, and the breed is Spitz, and I'm going to print out the same information I had printed out before. for my general dog, with the difference at this point, of course, I want all the information from my circus dog and not from my original dog. So here I'm going to run. I'm going to make the output a little bit bigger, and you can see here the breed is Spitz, bark bark, but instead of run it says tightrope walking. We are still calling the very same method name. As a matter of fact, if you look at my output, you can notice there is a lot of code repetition. So this is something I try to avoid, and I'm going to factor that out to a method here. So I'm going to make a little helper method. It's private, it's static, it's void, I call it display dog info. And I say, well, give me a dog, and I will display the info. So here is my dog, and I'm going to take all this information and display it in my method. So you can see we no longer deal with a circus dog, it's just dog. And now we can exchange all these repetitive parts here and reuse the code from our method. So here I can just say display dog info instead. Display dog info of my circus dog. And the same up here. So I say display dog info of my dog. And the same thing here. I can display my whole info. The only problem here is my new line, because the pull sled is not displayed in my dog info yet. So I'm going to show you how we can fit that in our method. At this point I'm just going to exchange everything. I say display dog info my sled dog. And one way to solve the situation is to check right here whether I am dealing with a sled dog. And I can do that by using the instance of operator. So I can say if dog instance of sled dog. In that situation, I would like to cast my dog to a sled dog. Remember, I need an explicit cast here because not every dog is a sled dog, but I am very confident it is because I just checked with my instance of operator. So I know that is going to be a valid cast, and now that I have actually a sled dog, I can access my pull sled functionality, and I can say sled dog pull sled. Let me just compile here. It says, oops, there's somewhere a problem. I introduced the extra curly closing brace. Let's see what we have here. We have the exact same output. Once again, we have pull the sled for my husky, we have tightrope walking for my Spitz, but we no longer have all this code repetition in our main method. So this is a nicer solution to factor out the shared code. I want you to have another look at the if statement down here. So in the condition, we confirm the dog is actually a sled dog. And knowing that it's a sled dog, we can safely cast it to a sled dog variable and then call the pull sled method on a sled dog instance. So that works nicely. There might be a temptation to call pull sled directly in dog, and I'm going to do that just to show you what happens. So here I'm going to say dog and pull sled. So I'm trying to call it directly in dog, and Eclipse tries to help me out. Eclipse sees that this doesn't work, so it tries to cast dog to a sled dog. It uses an extra pair of parentheses to make sure it gets casted before the dot operator is executed. So pull sled is actually going to be called on a instance of sled dog. Now I'm going to erase this because I really want to show you what happens if I don't cast. And if I erase it manually, Eclipse allows me to do that, but it gives me an error message. It shows me the method pull sled is undefined for the type dog. What I want you to remember is the following. The instance that you use to call a method on defines which methods are available to you. So if my instance is of type dog, I can access dog methods. If my instance is of type sled dog, I can also access sled dog methods. So I'm going to comment this out again because that doesn't work. And we still have a little bit time left, so I want to show you the various constructors that are called when we create a sled dog object. And I'm going to do something that you typically do not want to do. I'm going to add a print statement in a constructor only for a short demo. I'm going to remove it right afterwards. So here I say system out print line in sled dog constructor. And I'm going to do something similar here when I say system out print line in dog constructor. And now I'm going to set a breakpoint right here where I'm assigning my breed, and right here where I'm calling my superclass constructor. And I'm going to use my debugger, and it stops the first time on my dog. If I check with variables, I can see the first time I'm initializing my dog. I'm not interested in this. I am moving on. This time I'm initializing my sled dog. That's where I want to be. So here, the first statement in my sled dog constructor is a call to the super constructor. And I'm going to step into that. And it takes me right here to my dog constructor. And in my dog constructor, the first statement I specified is an assignment where I assign B to breed. But I'm going to step into it again, and it takes me to class object. That is because now we are going to the default constructor from object to initialize object. I keep stepping into it. I come back to my dog constructor. So at this point, I am assigning my breed. I'm printing out a statement. And I'm coming back to my sled dog. I'm printing out another statement here. And then I can just continue. Let me just show here in dog constructor, in sled dog constructor. So first you started at the sled dog constructor, called the dog constructor, called the default constructor from object, finished the dog constructor by printing, finished the sled dog constructor by printing out another statement. We can just finish off the whole application. Here you can see the two extra statements that we printed when we created a instance of the sled dog. And I'm going back to my constructors. I'm going to remove the print statement right now because really constructors should not include print statements. This was only for a brief demo.